We are finally back with another episode of Demon Slayer, and this one, honestly, you want to know my opinion? Well, it's pretty solid. We got a neat little showcase of Mitsuri Kanroji, but really the big part of this episode occurs with Sanemi and Genya continuing their trend of Hashira training arc, really being the bridge to the final act of the story rather than, well, just a training arc. So let's dive into the episode and then some. Use code CTACTICS to get 10% off your order of gamer subs. They've been on a big roll lately. I personally have been really hooked on the mango flavor, but check their website every week because they're dropping new flavors and new waifu cups all the time. So the episode initially focuses a lot on Tanjiro's training with Kanroji, and you know what that means? Kanroji time! It's really funny because when Tanjiro first comes in, he's treated to this lavish-ish sort of lifestyle as she literally feeds the boy pancakes. Wish that were me. Also, love how Tanjiro doesn't know what butter and pancakes are, which I thought was a neat little touch, as of course, he doesn't. Why would he? He's a country bumpkin from the mountains that made charcoal for a living. He's not sophisticated in the slightest, but it is nice that he got a little bit of TLC as he really needed it after the last episode, and of course to prepare him for the rest of this episode. And boy, Kanroji though puts this boy and the other poor boys through the ringer, but to be more exact, their crotches. I love how they initially think they're going to do some regular stretches, but Kanroji spreads her legs, and you don't need to know anything more than look on their faces the immense amount of pain this stretching causes them. Rip and rip to the devastated crotches of the Demon Slayer Corps. At least you're all stretchy and bendy now, which, speaking of, not gonna lie, I need to spend a day there myself. We content creators are in need of all sorts of stretching that we can get. It's also why I do yoga all the time. Outside of that, this is where the real training begins with Obanai, the Randy Orton Hashira, who really does give this episode a Karate Kid vibe, with Obanai reminding me a lot of Mr. Miyagi in terms of how on top of Tanjiro he is, just beating into him constantly while Tanjiro struggles to hit the targets between the bound trainees. And that's another thing I liked about this episode. The actual training Tanjiro has to go through is interesting because he has to hit these targets, but he also has to make sure not to hurt others. However, as Tanjiro soon figures out, the real test is not hitting the targets, it's hitting the targets and fighting Obanai. These trainees are more of a representation of potential mistakes in a fight that can be made, as Tanjiro puts it, like getting a blade stuck in a tree, or simply just being preoccupied with other things. So it's important to be accurate, quick, focused, and make as little mistakes as possible. And the payoff of this training is a really cool short fight between the two that actually leads into the rest of this episode. The pace keeps up as we quickly move on to Sanemi, who is introduced through the poor soul of Zenitsu, who has been put through the ringer. Sanemi tells Zenitsu he either continues training or he dies, showing how serious and honestly crazy Sanemi is. Leave Zenitsu alone! As for Sanemi's training, however, well, it's even tougher than Obanai's. Even Tanjiro lamented the fact that Obanai even gave them more breaks. But with Sanemi, what I found the most compelling is his relationship with his brother Genya, as you probably likely would. We've seen throughout the years their relationship with one another, and it's never been good. I mean, you can go check out my previous thoughts on that if you want to, in the card in the upper right. But it continues here with Genya trying to get something off of his chest to his brother, which is that he ate demons, giving him this ability to regenerate among other things. And honestly, props to the VA because he was very good here, showing how it literally ate him up inside, keeping it bottled up. And in that moment, he just wanted to get that off of his chest and finally go down the path of recovery and acceptance from his brother. Maybe this will fix everything, right? This also explains why Genya is so angry normally, just like his brother. Not because he got it from his brother, but because he's quite literally tormented by what he has done and how his relationship with his brother and his family have deteriorated. However, Genya, not knowing what to expect, is attacked by his own brother and is saved if it weren't for Tanjiro, who in just a split second, probably thanks to Obanai's training, tackles him out of the way of the finger poke directed at his eye. Sanemi isn't having it though, giving Genya the option to run or be killed by his hands, but it's Tanjiro who actually stands up for him here. He says that whether he has the ability to or not, he's made up his mind to risk his life fighting demons. He's made his choice, and it's not a wrong choice, it's a just one. So he can't let Sanemi do this to his brother. as unlike Sanemi, he knows the true value of Genya as a person. I mean, he saw it firsthand when they fought in Swordsmith Village, which compared to Sanemi, he knows next to nothing about his brother. He doesn't even care about him, which is likely one of the reasons why Genya is expecting some sort of change and trying so hard to get it, but getting nowhere. He can't accept this is what has become of them. And so he strives for the next thing to fix everything, but it never does. He really needs to accept that this is the way things are now, and there is no turning back. Despite this brave showcase of Tanjiro, Sanemi attacks, but it's Tanjiro who surprisingly is able to fight him in this state, being able to counter some of his attacks, and though isn't quite good enough or in shape enough to launch any sort of offense. It pretty much devolves in just to a brawl that lasts until the sun went down. And because of that, the training under Sanemi was revoked for Tanjiro, who still feels bad about this divide between the two brothers. So afterwards, Zenitsu and Tanjiro walk through the forest to come upon a waterfall where they see Inosuke training under the wind Hashira, who, wow, he's meditating in fire while crying. I mean, this guy's an absolute mad lad. Honestly, I expected this video to be much longer when I first watched the episode, but it's pretty straightforward. I think the best part of it was the showcase of the rift between Genya and Sanemi. It's a tragic story they have, and their family being torn apart by that tragedy and ruining their relationship was handled very well in this episode from just about every angle I could think of. Though I need to ask, what did you guys and gals think about the episode? I personally really enjoyed it, and I think this season of Demon Slayer is surprisingly shaping up to be the best season of Demon Slayer yet, which is crazy to think about because it's just a training arc. But let me know in the comments and subscribe. Our goal this month is to get to 111K, which is a nice number and goal to reach for. So thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.